I think we're going to go ahead and get started with the webinar. So, hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Cris Brazil, and I'm going to be presenting today with the Kansas State University's Pollution Prevention Institute. I have Mary Baker in the call with me. She's going to help monitor the call. I wanted to ask if you have any questions, feel free to use the chat, but I'm going to be opening up the floor for any questions. So if you at the end want to unmute yourself or want to, I can go over the chat questions as well. So whatever works best for you. I don't know if we're going to cover the full hour, but definitely not going above that. So once again, thank you so much for joining. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about pollution prevention in action. We wanted to cover a little bit about what is pollution prevention, what are some projects that we're seeing with companies, how this interconnects with strengthening communities, and also doing some paralleling with some other P2 benefits, for example, some certifications, ISO certifications, and how those things connect. So I'm a pollution prevention specialist with the Kansas State University's Pollution Prevention Institute. My background is in industrial engineering, and I've been leading the P2 program here at K-State since 2022, end of 2022. So to start, who we are, we were founded in 1989. We are part of the College of Engineering, the Engineering Extension Department. We are very proud to say that we are 100% grant funded. So currently our funding comes from either KDAG, so the Kansas Department of Health and the Environment, or the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. We are a non-regulatory program. We don't do any sort of enforcement. Our role is mainly educational. So we promote sustainability through environmental education and services to industries, institutions, and communities. So in our institute, we house the Small Business Environmental Assistance Program, or SBEAP. So each state has one, and we here at K-State, we operate the Kansas unit. So we do environmental compliance assistance on-site and off-site for any small business. So mostly under 100 employees. We are free and confidential. If you're a larger business and you also have some questions, please reach out. We can provide always some sort of support. So if you have any questions when it comes to compliance, we have a really great team that can help you with that realm. And we also house the Pollution Prevention P2 program, in which we provide technical assistance to any size industry, so there's no small business limitation. We can do workshops, seminars, we create educational materials with our main goal of spreading P2 awareness. We have two new P2 grants that will be starting in January 2026. So we have a lot of new projects coming in a lot of different areas, including breweries, community events, and our internship program. So for our internship program, so this is one of the main projects that we have under our P2 program here. This is an 11-week program that includes 1 week of training and 10 weeks of on-site work with the interns. We do the whole process. We hire the interns, we train them, and then we mentor students throughout the summer. So it's basically like having, full access to our PPI team while also having access to really amazing students, doing hands-on projects that will provide you with real benefits. We hire junior level or higher, normally from engineering and natural sciences or physical sciences. Sometimes we go a little bit beyond that. It really depends on the type of company that we're working with and the type of project. So we always work hard to do the best, to find the best fit in terms of, company and projects and the type of student. We have some match opportunities available for 2025, so we can help pay for the intern costs through our grants. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions, but we always love the combination of having fresh eyes from students with us backing up their projects and their summer work that can provide you with great solutions and savings. If you're a host company or if you know of any host company that would be a great fit for a program, we have applications due at the end of January next year. It's a pretty simple, straightforward form. And if you don't quite know if you have enough work for an intern or what exactly would qualify under the internship program, you can always contact us and we can either do a site visit at your facility. You just have to be located within the state of Kansas, but we can do a site visit and then we can help you assess what types of projects would fit the program and would benefit you the most. So when it comes to our program's impact, so we've had over 900 projects developed under the program, almost $24 million saved. So those were implemented numbers out of almost 100 million from recommended projects. Not all projects that we recommend are necessarily going to be implemented by companies. There's not actual you're not binded to implement anything that we suggest. It's just more data so you can make an informed decision. We have the 2025 symposium presentations and case summaries. Some of them are already available on our website, so if you want to check out what our two interns did this summer, we already have their presentations up and running, and one of their case summaries is available online. So now that you know a little bit of who we are and how our interns can drive results, let's kind of ground this into your operations. I'm not sure if you're a company or if you're, an institution, but when it comes to, your operations, when we're talking sustainability here, we're thinking P2 style moves that can save you money and reduce risk. So when we start working with a company, we like to ask three quick questions. So first would be, what environmental impacts do you have today? So on the left here, you can see the usual inputs that we have for a business. So we have electricity, natural gas, sometimes water, we have packaging, cleaning products maybe. And then we have the outputs on the right that they drive. So for example, air emissions, we have solid waste, scraps, recyclable, wastewater, and sometimes other different things. Every arrow that we see in our perspective is a cost center and a P2 opportunity. So the second question is the trend. It's regarding trends that are affecting your industry. So for many people, and even on the personal side of things, we think, for example, higher energy rates, solvent restrictions, water scarcity or surcharges, sometimes tighter customer requirements, given, this current sustainability stewardshipness that is out there. So those trends really reward source reduction, so fixing problems upstream instead of paying for treatment or disposal. And how does this align with my business goals? So if your goals include things like reliability, lower cost to operate, fewer surprises during audits, P2 is definitely the shortest path to achieve that. So again, a quick pulse check on why this matters beyond simply being green. So why sustainability in P2 helps beyond, the helping the planet side of things. So P2 cuts waste that you might be paying for twice. So when you buy things, you're paying for it. And when you throw it away, in a lot of cases, you're also paying for it. So, LEDs, fixing leaks, right sizing equipment, so you can lower bills, you can have less downtime, and a lot of other increases in efficiency overall. When you use safer materials, closed processes, it can probably mean fewer reportable quantities, simpler permits, fewer what happened investigations. For brand reputation, customers, communities, people know when odors drop, when you see less glare from lights at night, when the waste trucks are showing up less. And this definitely builds trust for your company and your business. We have the side of employee attraction and retention. So cleaner air in the plant, simpler standard operating procedures, safer handling makes jobs much easier to do and to keep, especially when we're talking about new hires. Also, some states and utilities, they can help pay for some improvements when it comes to P2, for example, LED lights or, variable frequency drive motors, water projects. And most grants will prefer source reduction over end of pipe fixes, which is exactly what we do under our P2 program. And long-term resilience, when we see energy and water prices spiking, when regulations tighten, and they're probably gonna, source reduction, cushions that hit. So when you reduce things, you're definitely going to be taking a safer route for all this. So the defining the mindset behind all the wins and the core of the presentation today, it's pollution prevention. And we always want to define that because first is the name, it's in the name of the institute, but it's also the best approach of managing waste and resources, in our opinion. So P2 means cutting waste and emissions at the source. So before we pay for treatment, hauling, or permits. So when we look at the pyramid that we have here, so P2 comes first. If we can't do that, we try to see if we can reuse whatever resource we have. If we can recycle, then treatment, and the last resort is always disposal. So P2 actually boils down to three main levers. We either see if we can change the material, if we can change the process being used, or the technology, so we can achieve, source reduction. And we hunt into four predictable buckets where money tends to hide. So energy, water, materials, and chemicals, and the compliance risk side of things. Okay, so zooming out from that more micro perspective and getting into a more macro perspective when it comes to pollution prevention, we need to talk about how the work done inside an industry can affect other things that surround that specific industry location. So that includes neighborhoods, schools, small businesses, downwind and downstream. So for example, if we reduce the amount of toxic chemicals being used by an industry, we can achieve lower regulatory burden, like we mentioned before, reduce the amount of material being purchased and waste being generated. We have the increase sometimes in operational efficiency, but we also have other benefits. So for example, if you have less VOCs in the air, you have cleaner air, and that affects also the community and nearby residents. If you have, better storage, labeling, spill proof, chemicals, you can also protect local waterways and aquatic systems in case there's any sort of accident. For the workers, you have a healthier workplace, less contact with those chemicals. And this all ties in with the whole principle that pollution prevention helps people, helps the planet, and helps profit too. So everything is combined, and we always like to work with projects that can definitely achieve and check all these boxes when being done. We definitely want to protect the planet. We want to, of course, protect people and public health, but we also understand the importance of profit so that we have the industry that also employs a lot of the community nearby those locations. So like I said, everything is interconnected, and P2 helps with all of these things together. So a quick pit stop before we jump into some tactics, because there are some other P2 benefits. We already mentioned a few of those. But I also wanted to briefly mention that one other benefit that we're seeing, and it has a pretty strong connection with how we do P2 in the program, is building a shortcut to some certifications. For example, the ISO 14001 that is related to environmental management systems. So every time you swap a solvent, you're fixing a leak, you're doing any sort of P2 project, you might be actually building ISO pieces. And that can happen in very different forms and ways. And if you're familiar with those ISO certifications, there are many clauses that are actually covered, and it makes the whole process of doing that management easier. And also, again, the compliance that gets everything simpler. So you have fewer toxics on site, you cut the potential number of emergency scenarios, which also ties back into, for example, the ISO certification. So you spend less time having to explain potential accidents, and inspections might end up getting a little bit boring, which is good. So even if, ISO is not really on your radar right now, P2 actually ends up moving you automatically into that direction. So it can give you some artifacts that you may need if you're actually interested in pursuing that path. And I will make a brief connection of what actually interns deliver in the programs and what our institute can help you with, and how that kind of interconnects with, for example, a certification like this. So I'm going to go over some P2 ideas that hit those four buckets that I mentioned before. Some are pretty well established by now, but these are things that we still see so many companies actively pursuing. So we think it's still very beneficial to talk about these things as well. So when it comes to energy efficiency, we still see so many companies without LED lighting. The cost for those dropped significantly in the past years. So sometimes people don't quite know what exactly is their current cost, what is a payback period for that project, so we can help assess all these numbers. Sensors for lighting, again, now super accessible. Thermostats, so we can control temperature better. Energy audits to help you understand what are your biggest energy hogs. We're seeing a sharp increase in solar panel interest. Things this year may have, dropped a little bit again because of some uncertainty related to some incentives, but still companies see a clear positive aspect of implementing solar panels and becoming more independent from utility companies. So we're still investigating those. Energy efficient appliances, making that swap. Sometimes there's some first costs involved, but still pretty beneficial. And building envelope. We know there's so many older buildings operating in Kansas. We're at a university. We have so many older buildings. And the building envelope, it's definitely a big potential P2 source. So for example, this is a snapshot of a case summary from a 2024 intern that was working with a Burla Carbon, a company located in Southwest Kansas. So Asif did an LED lighting project. Again, pretty straightforward. What he did was understanding the baseline, figuring out exactly how much they're paying for electricity, what would be the benefit to swap from LEDs, the cost, how many kilowatt hours of energy they would be saving, and how much that reflects when it comes to the greenhouse gases emissions, so metric tons of CO2 equivalent. So the company decided to go for it and implement the project. So they have this project currently in progress. And for example, when we think about projects like LEDs, which are right now pretty much a bread and butter project for us, it's pretty straightforward. But at the same time, we have the profit side of things. We have cost savings. I've never seen an LED project that would not have a decent payback period. And when I say decent, I'm saying something, like 2-3 years. It's pretty common to have actually much less than that. So decent payback periods, a much longer lifespan. So we know that LEDs last much longer. And on the planet side of things, of course, we have less emissions from electricity. We have the reduced waste from bulbs. So instead of purchasing bulbs every, maybe 3 years, you're purchasing every 10. So there's much less waste being generated. And on the people side of thing, we always like to point out that there's some benefits that some people might not initially identify. But for example, some of those, old bulbs might have some mercury. Definitely want to get rid of that. Less hazardous materials for people to handle. We can increase the lighting. So sometimes, those older lighting systems, they're not as efficient or they don't produce as many lumens or brightness. And we can fix that and create a safer environment when that's applicable. The other way around also works. And less maintenance hassle. So if you go to an industrial facility, sometimes we have those fixtures that are really up high. We need to get, a lift, a scissor lift sometimes to go and make those replacements. There's some risk related to that. There's time, there's cost. So all those things get tackled. And whenever we work on a project with a company, we try to show them all the potential benefits that we can identify under those three different criteria. In terms of energy efficiency, we've been working with companies on replacing their motors with variable frequency drive. Definitely not doesn't work for everyone. It's assessed on a case by case basis. But again, we're seeing so many benefits related to more energy efficient equipment. Still compressor systems, so many benefits from conducting those audits. Or sometimes even replacing the whole system with something a little bit more modern. Sometimes people have those compressed air equipments for, decades. So sometimes it's time they get really attached. They see that the new one is very expensive, but there are a lot of savings sometimes associated with, getting a newer, piece of machinery. Boilers and ovens, so we look into sizing, insulation, maybe the technology. A lot of companies are trying to get away from gas systems and switching to electric. We did have an example of a case study with a company that replaced their gas boiler that was huge for the type of line that they were operating with a simple electric heater system for plating, more specifically. And they saw about $150,000 in savings per year, and that's including the electricity costs for the heaters. So the sizing sometimes make a huge difference. And again, like I said, we still see so many companies that benefit from simple air leak audits, and this is something that our interns and our team is trained to do. We have compressor systems that can help, actually quantify that data. So we have the equipment, we can bring it with us and do those calculations, provide you with, tags, mark those leaks, how much are they costing to you, so you can have an actual, tangible number for your savings. Another thing to mention is solar panels. So like I said, we still see so many companies interested in solar panels. We did have another one this summer. I'm going to bring up his case summary really soon. But the intern from 2024 also investigated that, and the company wanted to check if that would be feasible for their whole operation, which wasn't really the case. So sometimes, we do the calculations and we don't believe that it's worth it right now to have the whole operation relying on solar panel systems. But for them, for example, they saw a clear benefit from installing solar panels for their office space. So they are moving forward with this project and hopefully having this wrapped up really soon. And they are seeing some good benefits. There's of course some investment related to that, and we always check to see if the company, what is the company's goal when it comes to a payback period. So if your payback period, for example, the thing that you're looking for is something around, let's say, 5 years. If we see that a solar panel for your goal is something related to, let's say, sometimes 20 years, and we see numbers like this actually happening, we would not be recommending a project like this to you. But again, it's your data, it's your information, so you can do whatever you want. And our team is actually working right now on a case study that will be available on our website in the next few weeks, that is related to solar panels. So helping companies understand if that might be a good route for them or not. It's definitely something that needs to be done on a case by case situation. It involves a lot of analysis. It's a very complicated process, but we're hoping to help you identify if should I be taking the next step or not. So I'm going to be sharing that through our listserv whenever we have that posted. So another bucket would be the water one, water conservation. And this, again, it really depends on the processes that you have in place. But we look at ways of reducing any losses that you may have right now. So leaking faucets, toilets, nozzles, pipes, and steam systems. We can do a steam trap audit. We do have the equipment for that, and interns frequently do that as well. We can look at ways to reduce the overall usage of water. If we can shut off processes, low flow and automatic shut off options. And even then we can take the reuse route to see if we have any sort of gray water that can be, reused within the system. So as a pre-rinse, for example, in cleaning cycles, or maybe used in irrigation. So next we have chemical reductions. So we frequently look into ways of first, reduce the amount of hazardous materials being used, and that could be in the form of looking for safer chemical alternatives. To do that, we have plenty amazing resources. One that I really wanted to mention here is the Toxics Usage Reduction Institute, TORI. So they have amazing tools that can help you identify safer chemicals to use in your process that will at the same time meet your quality standards for your cleaning process or degreasing process. So they have an amazing database in which you can enter your substrate, so what type of material you're trying to clean, what is the contaminant that you have, and what is the solvent that you're using. And they can give you data related to tests that were conducted by their lab that effectively cleaned similar situations to yours. So, it can be very overwhelming when it comes to, okay, I want to get rid of that toluene that I have in my operation, but I have no idea where to start. There's like hundreds of other potential solvents. I don't even know which one is safer, which one is less toxic. Is that even going to work for my current process? So they really help you with that, and they do actually they provide a service that in which they can go and look at your process specifically. So the database is free, anyone can access, but if you want them to run a specific test for your specific operation, they have a fee. We did a project with them recently in which we helped facilitate the testing for a few different scenarios here in Kansas. So we worked with a few different companies on different processes and provided them with that alternative that would, again, meet their quality standards and at the same time help the environment and people. So they have also great resources on their website. I strongly suggest contacting them if you have any specific questions, or taking a look at their website because they have great resources when it comes to chemical reductions or replacements. I also wanted to mention the Safer Choice label. So EPA does have a label that helps you identify chemicals that are safer. That's really common for grocery store products, cleaning products that go to the general public. So that's another interesting option. If you go to the grocery store, you're trying to look for, a cleaning product that is, safer for you and the planet. You can also look for that label. So in terms of chemical savings, I wanted to show here, this is a snapshot of the case summary for an intern that we had at Red Guard. So Red Guard is located in Wichita, Kansas. Braden was an intern there. He spent 10 weeks on site working on many different projects. Here we have a summary of the work that he did. And I wanted to mention or highlight a couple different projects related to chemicals. So paint mixing process improvement. So they were wasting some paint with 2-part paint kits. They were manually mixing them, and that was resulting in a lot of waste. So the intern investigated using a proportioner device. So instead of having to mix the whole kit, they could do that with a proportioner system. Great savings associated with that project, and it doesn't show here. I believe in the case summary there's more information about the implementation cost, but really fast payback period. The company really liked that project suggestion. And also industrial painter training. So the intern identified a vendor that was providing virtual reality training. So this not only helps painters increase their transfer efficiency by knowing and getting trained on better techniques, especially when we have some positions like painters that have a really high turnover rate. So definitely helpful to increase that efficiency. And also, when they are doing training sessions, in most cases, they actually do the thing. They actually paint parts that are being painted by someone who's not already trained. So that might become a source of waste as well. So probably they might not be able to use that part. There's much more overspray. So that also becomes a source of waste. So that again was a great project recommendation for the company. And also, again, they were another company that was interested in solar panels. They really wanted to look for something that could have a battery system. And right now, battery systems are still relatively expensive. So I believe in this case, we ended up suggesting a system that would fit the area that they had available and could help them offset energy costs, but not fully replace all the energy required by their operations. But again, it was recommended. The payback period was something within what they were looking for. And now it's up to the company to move forward or not with the project. I also wanted to highlight air and gas leak audits. Like I said, pretty common. So many companies still benefit from those audits that our team can do for you. So we always suggest, regardless of, oh, we don't think we have that many leaks. You probably do have some. It's pretty common. And again, as you can see, clear benefits from fixing those leaks. And the best benefit will be from implementing that as a regular maintenance program. Doesn't always happen. Honestly, it doesn't frequently happen. But this is also something that we can help companies with. So here's an example of the type of work that an intern normally does that can turn a P2 into some ISO ready progress. So interns start with a baseline analysis. So wherever they go, they want to understand what is the current situation so they can actually look for alternatives and analyze which alternative would be the best for the company. So if they have a goal, they might, if the company already has a predetermined goal that they want to achieve, for example, reduce VOC emissions from parts cleaning by 60% by a specific date, we could definitely work with this goal. So the first thing that we do, and if you're familiar with SMART technique, the SMART technique is, the whole idea is to look for something that, so some specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound goals and objectives. So if we start with the goal, let's say that it's to cut VOC emissions from parts cleaning by a specific number, by a specific date, by replacing, let's say, toluene with an aqueous washer on some lines. So this is specific, this is measurable, this is time-bound, and so on. So how we're going to do it, we're going to use a hierarchy to find alternatives that will help you achieve this goal. So again, and we understand how they classify within our hierarchy. So, we're going to be reducing the chemical usage. We're going to be using an aqueous detergent, for example. We might add in, a closed loop cabinet, drip trays that will keep fluids contained. So we will then, prove it. We're going to be using some KPIs, so some key parameter indicators. So sometimes companies already track those, but we will be using data. So how many VOC tons are you generating per year? What would be the result after you implement this project? Gallons of solvent purchased per year, kilowatt hours per month. Let's say that you need to now buy a washer, and that will increase your electricity bill a little bit. So we need to take that into consideration. How much money are we spending on chemicals and on hazardous waste disposal every year? So all these numbers are going to get, tracked and collected by the intern when he's doing the analysis. So then, what we expect to see, so we expect to get those VOCs down by a specific percentage. Maybe the goal is to reduce their permitting requirements, so they don't need to get that, be a large quantity generator or whatever type of compliance concern they have. Reducing their costs, so they also want to make sure that they get that waste cost going down. Maybe the chemical cost, they want it to go down. And when you have less chemicals to manage, you can have emergency scenarios reduced, which again aligns with a lot of different factors for an environmental management system like the ISO. So, doing a P2 project like this and gathering all the data and having access to that information that all the interns and our team collects can help you check for multiple ISO clauses and facilitate that environmental management system to operate. So I do have some examples here of some alignments. This is not the focus today, but it's just an example on how things tie in, which is again another plus, that even if you don't have this on your radar, it is a benefit that can, definitely help your company if you're pursuing that type of certification later on. So this is an example of one of the deliverables, one of the many deliverables that interns deliver to companies. So this is a snapshot of a case summary, which is a 2-page document that gets published on our website after company approval. It showcases the different projects and recommendations with the data that was calculated. This way, it's a great opportunity for students to showcase their work, and at the same time, we can disseminate this information, and for companies that we have that are from similar sectors, they can see, oh, I'm also a metal fabricator, and I see that they're looking at painter training that is virtual instead of the traditional style. Maybe I should check that out too. Our goal as an institute is to promote and amplify P2. So this definitely tackles this goal that we have. Along with the case summary, interns have a presentation that's posted on our website, and they also provide the company with a full comprehensive technical report that is confidential to the company. So all the data collected, all the analysis, all the, quotes, invoices, everything that was used to make those numbers come to life Everything is reported in there and it's yours to keep. And again, do whatever you want to do with that information afterwards. So we'll be having a class in January. So I wanted to bring this up because I think this is a good resource for people. It's a class at K-State, but people can take it for a professional development credits. It's called CS690, Industrial Environmental Sustainability. It's a 1 credit hour course, 3 days, pretty straightforward. This is part of what we train interns with. So we offer this class twice a year in January and in May. And in May, that's when we combine the class with the internship program. So that first week of training, they go through this class and a little bit extra bureaucracy that pertain to the internship specifically. But they start from scratch. So the class starts from scratch. What is pollution prevention? What is sustainability? Tools, calculators, equipment, everything up to date so you can actually, provide tangible results and know and you can know where to start. Going over some more resources, I wanted to talk about our website, and I'm going to go over a few different things we have available. Under the engineering extension, we have the Kansas Energy Program. They also have amazing resources and capabilities for energy audits, for example. We have the Radon Program, and I will also have some slides for the KSU Technical Assistance to Brownfields tab. So on our website, we have so much material, to be honest. I can't even think about all the stuff that we have available there. But it goes from air quality, storage tanks, waste management, pollution prevention, internship program. We have over 100 case summaries posted from over 100 interns that we've had in the past. Other resources, events, and we also have a monthly newsletter. So this is the QR code if you want to register. We just send out 1 email per month with a summary of what's going on with our program, good resources, training available. We try to promote, anything that might be useful to the community. So feel free to register. Like I said, we're not going to be, filling up your mailbox with a bunch of stuff. So there's a lot of resources from the Small Business Environmental Assistance Program. I'm just going to briefly go through some slides with some different options. So potential to emit calculators, determining if you need an air permit or not. For hazardous waste, we provide the hazardous waste compliance calendar. So if your business is interested in one, please feel free to reach out. We have some training available for Kansas that is actually 100% virtual. We have a bunch of videos on our YouTube page that also helps you determine hazardous waste categories. We have videos for P2 stuff as well. So again, we have a lot of resources available. Water 2, construction stormwater permit tool, do I need one? Septic tanks, guidelines, again, a lot of things available. So if you have any questions, or even if you're not quite sure where to find a resource that you're looking for, you can always contact us. And another resource I wanted to mention, so Brownfields tab is actually part of the College of Engineering as well, just like us. Brownfields are properties that need to be basically revamped so they can get used. They maybe an old manufacturing facility, an old gas station, and the KSU tab can help you acquire brownfields, access them, do some planning related to how to redevelop that area, help you connect with funding opportunities. They're an amazing program. So if you have any idea, or if you ideas in mind, or if you know someone or a group that might be interested, please forward them this information because again, they're really great. So to wrap things up, one big message, we always like to explain that when you have cleaner operations, you have healthier communities. That's the tie-in that I wanted to make. as a company, they can make choices. You can make choices. You can improve things. You can reduce chemicals. You can enhance efficiency, and you can create a healthier environment, not only for the workers, but for nearby communities, and the overall planet. So it's really a win-win-win when it comes to P2. And then, then after, watching this presentation, you might be asking yourself some questions like, okay, but I'm not sure which project should I do. I don't know if I should get, a sensor, a lighting sensor. I have no idea if an LED makes sense for me right now. Is there even a better technology available for my process? And I want you to have this key takeaway, that, of course, sustainability is achievable. We start upstream, measure what actually matters, and we can improve in small cycles. It's not like you're going to become a super green company or institution immediately. It's a process, and the important thing is to start. P2 works best, if you do those, changing the material, the process, technology, you will definitely have multiple benefits. And also P2 projects can create, a lot of materials that can be used in an environmental management system. So we have objectives, we have controls, we have metrics, records that are very helpful for any institution or industry. And the most important thing is that we can help. So we have that free confidential support for small businesses when it comes to compliance. But that technical assistance for P2 and the interns, we can work with anyone. We have been doing work with institutions, with cities, with communities, with, of course, industry. So anyone that will benefit. And if you feel like you have anything that we can help you with, please, please, please reach out. So I want to thank you so much for attending this webinar. Our team is super accessible. Feel free to reach out anytime. I have some email contact information. I have the SBEEP website. I have my personal email down there. So if you want to contact me directly, please feel free to do so.